G'day, I'm Scott Phillips, the Motley Fool's Chief Investment Officer here in Australia, and welcome back to the Motley Fool's series, What I've Been Reading. We did it in 2025, we're doing it again in 2026, and this is the first cab off the rank, and we couldn't be in better hands than with the Motley Fool's Director of Research, Ryan Newman. Ryan, g'day.
G'day, Scott. Excited to be here.
Mate, I'm glad you're here. You're going to talk about a book called Deep Survival by Laurence Gonzales. Just tell me you haven't gone full prepper. That's all I want to know.
Yeah, Scott, you and I were having this conversation yesterday, weren't we? We're starting to notice a little bit of a trend here with some of the books that I'm reading, but no,
Right?
I promise you I am not bunkering down.
Okay, so we talked about Young Men and Fire, if I remember that one correctly. Fascinating book. I read it after your recommendation and
Yeah, nice.
thoroughly enjoyed it. Really, really cool. Deep Survival, Laurence Gonzales, is not a prepper book. It does, though, have some echoes of Young Men and Fire. So tell us what the book is. Tell us what it's about. Tell us why it's captured your imagination. And most importantly, why investors should pay any attention at all to a book called Deep Survival.
Yeah, Scott, here's the book here, and
Nice,
it's an oldie but a goodie, and it's one that I've read actually a couple of times now.
Okay.
And essentially, Laurence Gonzales, who wrote it, he's really asking the question, who lives, who dies, and why? Now, as an optimist, I
lovely.
try to focus more. I try to focus more on the who lives element than the
Nice,
who dies
okay.
element.
Good.
But it's really looking at why do some people survive extreme situations while others don't?
Right. Okay.
And as I said, who lives, who dies, and why? And in the book, he's really studying a number of case studies, real life case studies, that is.
Mm.
So plane crashes, mountaineering disasters, shipwrecks, jungle survivor stories. And what he's really looking at, I suppose, is one, the interesting case studies, the interesting facts about these survival stories, but also the neuroscience and the psychology behind it. And that's what I find really fascinating and particularly relevant to the investing side. Because what he shows in the book is that panic, denial, ego, bad decisions under pressure, these are all things that, in such dire circumstances can actually end up being, not such a good outcome for these people. Whereas those people who actually do keep their minds about them, focus on what's at hand, really try and control their surroundings. Those are the people who are much more likely to survive. So it's really, as I said, really about the human behavior under uncertainty, how the brain works when things go wrong. And I suppose, just reminding us that when we are in such dire situations, we can go back to our primal instincts. And sometimes those primal instincts aren't actually that beneficial to us in today's world.
It's a really good point, because if you think about, look, we're investing, right? We're not climbing mountains, we're not crashing in planes, so it's not quite that. But to your point, at the end of the day, we're kind of shaved down apes, right? The human evolution is a really short story in terms of how quickly we catch up with the world we're in. I've said in different contexts before, as investors, I reckon successful investing is just the ability to control those emotional urges that get you in trouble, the evolutionary biases, right? And yes,
100%.
it's not plane crash, live, die, but it is kind of like the same urges when we are investing. So what are some of those, I guess, lessons from Deep Survival that maybe you might want to highlight for members or viewers, who are saying, well, how does it matter? But also, what can I learn from it when it comes to how I apply it to investing day to day?
Yeah, look, Scott, one of the examples that he went through in the book, it was, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, Julian Kopke, I think her name was, 1971 Amazon rainforest plane crash survivor. Essentially, the plane broke down midair, 3-kilometer altitude. She was only a 17-year-old girl, and I'm pretty sure what happened was she literally fell, plummeted to the earth in a plane seat,
Oh, wow.
and survived. Broke bones. The situation was looking pretty dire for her, but she basically wandered through the Amazon for 11 days, remembering some of the survival skills that her dad had taught her back in the day.
Oh, that's cool.
And one of which was find a river or a stream and follow it down, downstream, because that's where you're more likely to find civilization. And what she really did, though, was all through this ordeal, she was just focused on the positives. She remained positive about her life, positive about the fact that, or positive about the notion that she would survive this outcome. She didn't really comprehend that death, the bad outcome, would be her ultimate outcome.
Right.
This is just one of the stories, of course, of what Laurence Gonzales goes through. But he really went into some of the key insights, I suppose, about what this girl and plenty of other survivors as well experienced. And What he found that what survivors consistently do, there's a number of factors here, and one of which is perceive and believe reality. They don't deny what's happening.
Ah, yes.
They update their mental models fast, and they accept that this situation is bad, but I need to adapt. I will get through this. I need to adapt. They stay calm. I think that's a really important thing that a lot of people don't handle
Mm,
very well. In such dire situations, they can't remain calm. It's panic stations. And ultimately, panic can shut down our higher level of reasoning. They think, they analyze, and they plan. And these are some of the things that I guess in such a dire situation they have to do on the spot. But
mm,
and we'll get into some of the investing takeaways in a moment. But I think for us in ordinary life, we can actually think and analyze and plan ahead of time as well. If something happens, then what? It doesn't need to be a
yes, yeah.
specific situation, but we can plan for worst case scenarios, so to speak. They take decisive action. They're not reckless, of course, but they do act quickly on imperfect information, as we are often forced to do in our
Mhm.
daily lives. They count their blessings and they believe they will succeed as well. And one other one too. They surrender to fear. So they stop
Right.
obsessing about what is the worst possible outcome. They basically give themselves over to it, accept the pain and the discomfort is part of the process, and they
Mm.
learn to get through it that way.
Fascinating. All right, let's go to the investing takeaways because I like I like what this is heading. What are some of the things that you want our viewers to take away for investing?
Look, Scott, essentially, I mean, we're not talking about the Amazon or the Sahara Desert here, but
Thankfully,
markets
yes.
are survival environments on their own,
Yeah, true.
in their
Right.
own right. And I think in many ways they are testing our primal instincts because markets are uncertain, they're volatile, they're
Mm.
emotional, they're often irrational. Where as I said, we're acting on imperfect information pretty much on a daily basis. But ultimately, and Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett have both alluded to this as well. The most successful investors aren't necessarily the most intelligent. They're the ones that control their emotions and take control of their
Mm.
situation. But flipping that on its head, most investors don't fail because they lack intelligence or they lack information. It's because they panic or they freeze or they deny the reality of what's happening around them. And in doing so, they can abandon their process.
Yeah.
You, Scott and I, sorry, Scott and me, we're very much long term investors, as we all
Mm.
are at the Motley Fool. But what happens if this is your first market crash? Do you all of a sudden just abandon your process and say, "That I'm out. That's it"? Because ultimately, if you do that, you could end up selling at the very wrong time, just as some of the people who aren't so lucky in survival situations may find out.
Yeah, it's a really
There's a
good
few
point.
more. There's a
Okay.
few more. There's a few more. I guess lines here. The between the sorry parallels here. I think for investors, we need to learn and be willing to admit when a thesis is broken.
Mm.
We need to take a step back and actually think about our situation in an honest approach. Okay, this is what I'm facing at the minute. Let's say it is a market crash. This is what I'm facing at the minute. Which of my companies do I still believe in? Which of
Mm.
my companies am I not so confident in to get me through this? They don't react emotionally to drawdowns, and we stick to the investment process. So we remind ourselves we are in this for the long term.
Mm.
We are we will get through this just as we have in the past as well, and we will stay invested. And I think that's a really important element there, Scott. Just that we are reminding ourselves of the process, and we're taking stock as we go.
I love that, mate. I think, what at first blush, this feels like a very different thing, deep survival and investing. What it really is about, and you've already touched on it, it's really about temperament and psychology, understanding our own minds. Even the story of the young girl teenager who crashed, you see, went back to the lessons her father had taught her and then decided to do those things.
Yeah.
Being able to
Yep.
kind of have those touchstones to hark back and say, I'm just going to do what I know I should do when everything else is kind of going nuts around you. It's the old, Rudyard Kipling line: "Keep your head when all around you losing theirs."
Yeah.
That's kind of and it is. That's where the lesson is. I think you can read and look. There are some great investment books around. There are some great investment texts and formulas and other things you can and should probably have a really good working knowledge of. But at the end of the day, it's how you apply the tools you have, what you bring to the table, what you bring to bear, how you manage it. It sounds like I will add this one to my list, mate. You were right about Young Men and Fire, so I'm going to now read Deep Survival by Laurence Laurence Gonzales and see how I go. If I ended up a prepper, at least I'll know what to do if I'm stuck in the Amazon. Rhino, thanks as always for bringing, yeah, exactly. Thanks for bringing your expertise to the table. To our viewers, thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the Motley Fool What I've Been Reading series. We publish a whole lot of great free, by the way, content on this YouTube channel. What I've been reading, Stocks in Focus, Stock of the Month, Motley Fool TV, some live Q&As. I'm going to do some more stuff with shorts this year, we think, too. By the way, you would have seen some of the shorts already. I gave Mitch Lawler, who did a wrap earlier this week. So, yeah, make sure you keep subscribe. So, firstly, like the video because that means other people find it. It makes Ryan and I feel good. Subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell so that you get more good stuff when and as soon as it drops on the interwebs. Until then, thanks for being a fool and fooler.